We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Run! Don't talk! Those are shots! Run! Those are shots!
Hey, right now, we need your truck. We just need to get people over to the hospital, okay?
Okay, go ahead. Put them all on the map.
Okay.
We're angry. We're grieving. We're confused. People are hurting.
There was one bad man that night and hundreds of
thousands
good people that night and thousands since then.
We still are Vegas strong because we're not going to let tragedy and fear win over our city.
Well, 1 year ago, our city faced its darkest night. 58 lives were lost, and countless number of other lives were so greatly impacted by that awful tragedy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Quinones.
And I am Tricia Keene. We are here live in downtown Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Healing Garden, where a large crowd has grown here to honor the 58 lives lost. We're here to honor the past 365 days of hope and healing. We have gone from Vegas strong now to Vegas stronger.
And we certainly know one of the best ways we as a community have been able to do that is all thanks to the good work of the Golden Knights.
To the families and friends of the victims, know that we'll do everything we can to help you and our city heal.
The Vegas Golden Knights have made NHL history. We are and always will be Vegas strong.
Absolutely. And from retiring the number 58 to honoring the survivors and first responders, the Vegas Golden Knights have really helped our community heal.
Absolutely. And 13 Action News reporter Marissa Kinnison now shows you how the Golden Knights have been so good at bringing us all together.
Normal moment of our lives practically at that hockey game.
Ron Carpenter had just finished watching the Knights in their preseason game when he jumped in his car to start his shift as an Uber driver. But that's when shots rang out at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival.
Right about here in this area, and I noticed a bunch of people kind of hiding behind like walls and fences and bushes.
Immediately, he started piling people into his car and taking trips to the hospital.
This was like my go-to spot, and I'd stop right here for a long time. Like every time I would see that little corner, you know, I would remember faces or things I would hear.
10 hours of driving people to safety, and after those 10 hours, he noticed many of them had left him money.
This feels disgusting. Like, why do we even have this money?
But he used that money for tickets to the Golden Knights season opener.
These rally towels with Vegas strong on them.
Also there that night,
it's definitely like an escape.
Amber Diskin.
My friends and I were kind of in this back area over here.
A survivor and now a Golden Knights fan.
I would say it did. It helped me heal.
The team and their record-breaking season became something to cheer for. A temporary escape.
Puts it in.
A way for the community to come together after such an enormous loss.
I felt like, you know, that was a great moment to kind of come back to normal life again.
I think for so many of us, the Knights became kind of a way for us to escape, kind of a temporary way for us to forget about what was going on.
And during that Stanley Cup run, welcome to Impossible is the motto the team lived by, but that was also a motto for what they did for this community, including the detectives assigned to try and figure out how all this happened.
With hundreds of hours of body camera and witness video from 1 October and hundreds of witness statements, the 6 detectives in Metro's Force Investigation Team had to relive that horrifying night every day for nearly 10 months.
Toughest case we've ever worked, any of us.
While most could distract themselves with work, for these detectives, the tragedy was their work.
I don't think that's something you can really put into words. It's something that weighs heavily on you, and it's always at the forefront of your mind.
But just 9 days after their immense task began, the FIT detectives found just what they needed.
That's kind of when the whole thing kind of hit me for the first time, when they lined up all the first responders on the ice.
Really, it's just the way the whole organization handled that night and what they did. I mean, taking the ads off the boards and just putting Vegas strong, and just the way that they rallied around this community.
We are Vegas strong.
It seemed like they actually cared about the community, which made a big difference.
As the days continued and the investigation demanded more and more of their time, it was the Golden Knights' success that helped them the most.
It was a little break from just our normal everyday job.
A few minutes recounting Fleury's fantastic saves and Carlson's unbelievable goals.
It was just our chance to get away and have normal time.
That break becoming a full-on love for the boys in black and gold.
Now all of a sudden I've got the 6th biggest Knight fans in the planet in my office.
And now with the investigation over, the detectives have a little more time to enjoy the games. And they hope the team can continue to capture their magic as they move out of the shadow of the tragedy.
365 days later, I think the entire community would agree that it is better and stronger because of what the Golden Knights did. Todd and Tricia, back to you.
All right, Brian, so true. Thank you so much. And as we know, another place where the community has come together to help heal is exactly where we are right now, the Healing Garden in downtown Las Vegas.
And the dedication ceremony is going on right now. It's behind us, where city leaders are actually holding this special dedication of the new Remembrance Wall. This is one of 2 events happening here tonight. Later, there will be a reading of the names of the 58 victims. That starts at 10:05 tonight. That's the exact time 1 year ago today the first shots rang out over at the Route 91 Music Festival. We will also have special coverage of that event tonight on 13 Action News.
And there certainly is no doubt that this, in fact, is such a special place. The Healing Garden is exactly that. It is a place for people to come find peace to help soothe the pain.
But let's go around this way.
Las Vegas City Attorney Brad Jerbick helped create the Healing Garden.
There's an unspoken quality to this place, almost a spiritual quality to it, that people who come here leave better than before they came.
There are 58 trees here, each representing a victim, including Jerbick's good friend and former co-worker, 28-year-old Cameron Robinson, who left work absolutely giddy about going to the concert.
And that was the last time I saw him, just walking out just as happy as he could be.
And there are 57 other similar stories.
Absolutely.
Those stories are being told right here through pictures, personal items, all intertwined with living branches. In the heart of the garden, the Tree of Life, outlined by a heart-shaped planter box and tile mosaics created by loved ones.
And you have all the broken pieces deliberately broken, symbolizing the broken hearts of everybody who left behind.
Look at this. I mean, I love you, Mom. Mommy, I miss you. It's heart-wrenching.
After the shooting, landscape architect Jay Plagencool called his friend, City Attorney Jerbick, saying that if the city could find a piece of land, he would build a memorial. Plagencool is taking the temporary remembrance wall made of wooden pallets that he built in the days after 1 October and transforming it into permanent structures.
On that wall will have the names of all the victims.
He wants visitors who look at the names and faces to be inspired, to leave here and live their best life.
And taking a live look right now, you could see all the work that has been done here. I shot that story about 3 weeks ago, and they have just been working pretty much nonstop to get it to this point. You see those permanent structures here. Think of it this way. Everything you see here, all the trees, the landscaping, all the architecture, all the work, the labor, and the money, all 100% donated. Absolutely incredible. The total value here has been estimated at least $500,000.
All donated.
All donated.
Unbelievable. Really a labor of love to help with all the pain that we have all felt. And certainly we remember, Todd, the pain from that night.
We were preparing to do a live shot, and I got a phone call. I'll never forget it. Exactly at 10:08 p.m.
I was home. It was a Sunday evening, and I spent the day with my family.
As soon as he said there was something going down at Mandalay Bay, I got a lump in my throat. I could hear through the phone what was going on in the scanners. I could hear gunshots.
What the heck just happened? Is this really going on?
I just remember seeing the alerts on my phone and thinking, no way is this happening.
And all of a sudden I got a call from my best girlfriend and she said, oh my God, something's happened, something's bad.
And I heard the panic.
I was staying at my mother's house and she rushed into the room.
The fear.
And all she said was, there's a guy shooting off Mandalay Bay.
And it was terrifying.
Certainly difficult to hear about that horrible night a year ago. In fact, it was the dispatchers who really took hundreds of calls in just those few minutes.
Yeah, they did such incredible, amazing work. And 13 Action News anchor Parker Collins now shows you who they turn to when their lives are in danger.
Before we knew it, chaos broke out and we were running for our lives.
Melanie Strader normally listens to calls for help. On 1 October, though, she had to make one of her own. She was at the Harvest Festival. It was her 4th year going, so when the shots went off, she knew something was really wrong. She crawled and hid under some bleachers. Then she made her escape, running barefoot all the way to the airport. In her darkest hour, there was a guiding light, sending her a life-saving message.
Even in their chaotic moments, they were still there for me, and I needed someone to help lead the way for me.
The first call Melanie made wasn't to her biological family, but rather her work family. She got what everyone else asked for and received that night from our dispatchers, the reassurance that help was coming. And when Melanie needed a way home to her son, an off-duty training supervisor left her own family to go pick up Melanie. Imagine if your boss left their loved ones the night of a tragedy to help you. Dispatchers don't bat an eye at this selfless commitment.
We are family and we stuck together, you know, and it's just amazing.
For me, it's just my job. I was there doing my job.
It felt like much more to Melanie.
Not only were they worried about the public that night, they were worried about us.
After 1 October, Melanie took a month off work to do some healing. She started counseling and she took a trip. When she finally found normalcy, her new normalcy, she came back to work where she had been for the past 12 years. Parker Collins, 13 Action News.
And we appreciate our first responders. They saved lives. They did an incredible job. It was certainly tough moving forward the next day. It was also very tough, specifically at Faith Lutheran High School.
Yeah, they were hit particularly hard, as we know. 2 students were wounded in the shooting. Still, they had other students, teachers, and alumni. They were there that night. And now anchor Beth Fisher checks in on how the Faith Lutheran community is healing.
There's just so much love on this campus, and I feel like because of all of that, it's allowed me to heal and be comfortable talking to you today.
Shay Turner was a junior last year when she and her best friend were at the Route 91 Harvest Festival, a subject she's now writing about in her college essay applications.
Even when I'm having bad days, hard days, and I'm just so upset and I'm just confused and I just am angry, I just remind myself, like, God's with me. I'm not alone even if I feel alone.
Health teacher and volleyball coach Kristen Thornton was there too. She says this school, focused on faith and prayer, has been vital to helping her heal.
They had their students all write down a prayer for me and put it in the jar, and to keep on my desk. So days that were hard, I could open the jar and take a prayer out. Things like that you don't get other places.
God is still on his throne, and we made that clear to these kids.
Dr. Stephen Book is the CEO of Faith Lutheran. He says things are a bit different on campus this year.
The only way you can get on campus is over there at Wallapai, and again, there's an armed guard waiting for you to talk to you. So we kind of took the exterior and tightened that up a little bit.
Dr. Book had been considering increasing security on campus before 1 October happened. After the shooting, it just made sense to add 3 armed security guards.
There's your tummy.
And this little girl, named Esther.
Esther is our comfort dog that we have now, and she's been here every day. She's got her own little pen over here and everything.
By Counselor Dan Bukima's count, 14 Faith Lutheran students, staff, or family members were there when the shooting happened. But everyone was affected.
At one point, I had the Washington Post was just interviewing me. I cried in the interview for the Washington Post, and I had no idea that I was going to. And it was just one of those things where it affects you. It's a horrible thing no matter what.
But they're getting through it together. especially focused on their students suffering from PTSD.
It's still hard. I'm telling you, there's some of those kids are rocked. Some of the kids that weren't hit that were there are still, it's getting better. Even the counselors told me this fall, they said it's better. But like you say, we were hammering Caliche, and they just can't take that noise.
Noises used to upset Shay Turner, too. For Kristen Thornton, it was shelter-in-place drills that brought that night back. But they both say they're doing really well.
I feel like I finally have this sense of acceptance of like, okay, this happened, my life is different, and I'm gonna move on and live to the fullest now that it has changed.
Beth Fisher, 13 Action News.
I saw people just walking kind of almost like dazed and didn't know where they were going. They just knew that they had to get away.
Where we were, most of the victims that were injured were taken to the hospital, so we were getting a lot of people that were still searching for friends or family and trying to find their loved ones.
Part of what we were doing was trying to help foster some form of understanding.
I start seeing the videos like replaying over and over again of people running, the gunshots. You could hear the gunshots.
The one that sticks out in my mind was a young mother who I interviewed, and all she could think about was, I'm not going to die here today. I'm not going to leave my son.
And we had to digest what was going on. We had to report on what was going on, what we were seeing, and it was just surreal.
And you are taking a live look right now at the dedication of the new Remembrance Wall. You have city leaders speaking here live tonight. There's a large crowd that has gathered here, as long as some survivors of that night. You are taking a live look, and we just heard from Mayor Goodman as well.
Tricia, thank you. You know, for so many, the date of October 1 is going to be marked by this tragedy. But for one couple who survived the shooting, they essentially want to try and take this date back, not only for themselves, but also for all the survivors.
Exactly, Todd. No one asks for a tragedy to be brought into their lives, but what this couple has done is take back that day for themselves, their families, and for other survivors. So from now on, they'll look back on the 1st of October as the day they got married. Todd Winkie used to tell Osha Collins Waters that he'd take a bullet for her. A year ago today, he did.
I could see the blood on his shirt, and it was covered.
Todd took one bullet as he shielded Osha, two more as they fled for cover. Lying on the ground, Osha turned inward.
Praying that he was okay, and praying that we were both going to get home to our kids.
Osha's prayers were answered. She escaped without a scratch. Todd alive, but with shrapnel lodged in his left side. Todd says that night snapped things into perspective.
Why put off for tomorrow what you can do today?
Todd had already planned to propose to Osha in December on the couple's 5-month anniversary.
We sped it up a couple months.
The moment Todd proposed, they both knew when and where they would say I do.
We knew immediately that we wanted to get married in Vegas on October 1st.
Las Vegas, one of the couple's favorite cities to visit, on October 1st, a day once marked by tragedy, now by joy and love. And so it was meant to be. Today, Todd and Osha said I do at the Chapel of Flowers. They hope today offers up a kind of healing to their family.
It's being able to look at our girls and not see pain in their eyes.
They say their love for each other has been strong since day one. But now, forever together, they're even stronger. So during their reception tonight, they say they'll hold a moment of silence for the 58 people who lost their lives on this day last year. Jackie Kostek, 13 Action News.
All right, Jackie, thank you so much for that. And UNLV right now is working to archive the moments, all the information, social media posts, and stories from 1 October.
13 Action News anchor Dana Roselli explains how the future will be able to learn from the past.
Where do you even begin? Tammy Kim is in charge of all the web data from 1 October. She says Vegas Strong pages created by local news organizations have helped her collect and archive history.
I actually got inspiration from existing web archive collections documenting these types of spontaneous tragic events.
Kim says the most interesting parts were the real-time posts from newsrooms and pages like the UNLV Emergency Services site that most of the time sits empty.
Some people gave blood, others left memorials at sites. We thought that we should capture as much evidence as we could about the event to help people remember, to help people heal.
Social media is a big part of that, and Thomas Padilla is the digital research librarian. He says there were 11 million tweets surrounding 1 October. They started locally and then expanded around the globe.
They're kind of short expressions, but there are millions of them. So when you see them all kind of cascade over and over again, it's pretty challenging to deal with.
He pinpoints some of the most retweeted images, the definition of terrorism, a picture of therapy dogs, a text message that appears to be from someone at the concert saying, "I've been shot, I love you so much." Padilla says it was also really moving to see the emojis change too. There were about 800,000 emojis used before and after the shooting.
We start the day before, and they're kind of happy because it was Vegas, right? Like happy things were happening or something like that. And then you kind of see a clear cutoff line in the emojis.
Padilla created this visual. You can see a constant stream of pray hands and crying faces that start during the shooting and last the rest of the week. Clay T. White has been interviewing people about 1 October too, and she collects the oral history.
Did you learn anything new maybe that you didn't expect?
Our coroner is a person who has great feelings. And is not ashamed to express those feelings. That was one of the interviews. I'm a person who's not a crier, but that was one of those interviews that I also had a tissue in my hand.
White was also amazed talking with a photographer assigned to the concert that night.
So close to the speakers that the entire time he thought it was speakers malfunctioning. And as the crowd began to run, he just stood there and took pictures.
Dana Roselli, 13 Action News.
The way that Vegas stepped up in the moments and the days after 1 October was just unbelievable.
And people say it all the time, there was so much love and light in such a dark time in our city, and that shows you who the people of Vegas really are.
So in investigating the crime as well as sharing the stories of the survivors, I learned so much about this community that I'm a part of.
Comforting, at least for me, to see people coming together, complete strangers, willing to lean on each other in their time of need. That's what really stuck out at me in this tragedy.
More than even just the amazing response from the city, it just showed me about humanity, and that is that there are a lot of good people out there.
So the city coming together, as so many people have said, is no joke. It is unbelievable how everyone just coalesced to make one day that was very dark, maybe just a little better.
We proved to the country that we have heart.
And 1 October showed the world what Las Vegas is all about.
And this is something that we will live with for the rest of our lives, but we will rebound and we will come together. And this past year has proven that. And certainly, as we know, in the days, weeks, and months after the shooting, so many people turned to social media to help themselves cope. And you spoke to a Valley mom whose daughter attended the concert that night, and she really wanted to try and do something really special to honor the 58 lives lost.
That's right. It's an emotional story, Todd. And out of the tragedy, the 58 Random Acts of Kindness Facebook page was Vegas born.
He needs money to buy food.
Mary Rendina loves to scroll through the random acts of kindness posted on the now global Facebook page she created called 58 Random Acts of Kindness after 1 October. It's a place where thousands of followers pay it forward, commit acts of kindness, post about it, and find healing.
I've had people reach out to me who are family members of the 58 victims and saying that how much they appreciate our page.
This Facebook page, where people post how they're making the world a better place to live, has been therapeutic for the Rendina family. As Mary's daughter, Mary Grace, and her friend Brianna look at videos and pictures from the Route 91 festival, they remember the good times that weekend. But they can't forget the strong urge to leave the concert Sunday night.
We just had a weird feeling. We just wanted to go home. Something just didn't feel right.
Mary Grace and Brianna escaped the gunfire by just minutes, leaving the concert right before Jason Aldean performed.
I think it's really strange, and it definitely saved our lives. I have to thank her, because without her, I definitely wouldn't have even thought to leave.
And surviving 1 October was a call to action for the Rendina family.
We thought it was such a great idea to do these little acts of good and be the light where all the darkness is surrounding us.
What evil meant for harm, love turned to good.
For me, I think the healing began the very morning after the shooting, when I saw upwards of 4,000 people in line at United Blood Services, and not a single person would leave the line when they found out how long the wait is, because they were there to help. It was incredible.
When you saw New Year's Eve happen and everyone was safe and had a good time, you thought, okay, this city is sort of turning a corner.
I will say there was a moment of catharsis where the city needed to exhale, and we just needed to do something and be somewhere and breathe.
Standing there at the Golden Knights home opener,
Derek England's speech, like that was just a moment where we can just say, whew, okay, we're safe. Things aren't normal, but we can carry on as a community.
That whole game, them winning and continuing to win the way they did, but just starting off strong and giving those fans a reason to cheer so quickly. It was that moment I went, this is exactly what the city needs right now.
Seeing what the Golden Knights did here and seeing how far they got through all the adversity, the 58 names that are inscribed under the ice, and to see out of that tragedy came the Golden Knights, and their success just told me that nothing is going to stop Southern Nevada. And this tragedy has taken a toll on the community physically and emotionally.
And Carla, as we know, so many people still struggling with the trauma today.
That's right. And I learned by really focusing on the mind-body connection that can help heal the hurt.
What it is that you wish away from the past.
In precise movement and steady, deep breaths, there is vulnerability, but also security.
After trauma, we suddenly feel like the world is unfriendly or unsafe.
This is Trauma Recovery Yoga, or TRY, one of many classes Joyce Bozen has taught since the 1 October tragedy.
We work with the coroners and some police officers, firefighters, 911 operators.
It's yoga altered for people suffering from anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress. No music, no chanting, no triggers, just physical, mental, and spiritual peace. Peace Lishay Johnson couldn't even find in her own home.
It was one of the most rewarding, wonderful experiences since October 1.
She worked the Route 91 festival.
I was just basically trampled over that night. I felt as though the shooter was on top of my head.
A year later, she has just had surgery on her shoulder, delayed due to her PTSD. Insomnia and wanting to be free of more than a dozen prescribed medications overruled her skepticism that TRY could actually work for her.
It was the best sleep that I've had in about 10 months. She put me to sleep. I even missed Bible study.
Finally reclaiming that safe place.
She made me feel as though I mattered.
Taken from her and so many others a year ago today. Carla Wade, 13 Action News.
And one of the things I know for sure is that Las Vegas is a big family, and we have each other's backs.
Yeah, and as you know, we were Vegas strong. We are now Vegas stronger.
I am Vegas stronger.
We are 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 Vegas Stronger.